Welcome to This Week in Berkeley Heights. Brought to you by thealternativepress.com, Berkeley Heights' all-online daily local newspaper. We're here at Memorial Field on concert night here in Berkeley Heights with the big band Evolution and our special guest, Mayor Joe Bruno of Berkeley Heights, and my co-anchor, Rachel Cantor. Mayor Bruno, I know recently there was a new township administrator here in Berkeley Heights. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the new township administrator and what she's doing right now in Berkeley Heights.
Sure can, Mike. Our new administrator's name is Linda Lordi Kavanaugh. Linda is an attorney who came to us highly recommended by a number of people and professionals in town and outside of town. She was a former freeholder in Essex County and has a wealth of information and contacts and knowledge about running the county, Essex County, and she brings all that to Berkeley Heights. And she's been here about 2 months now, and we're thrilled to have her.
That's great. I know, and she's from my hometown of Livingston, where I grew up. So that's great. And I think one of the other things that's going on in town is the town clock project. I was wondering if you can give an update about that and how that's going.
Well, the town clock project is moving along very, very well. Jean Kingsley, our council vice president, and her beautification committee are. And the train is here, are mounting the campaign for that. And we have 3 faces of the clock sold. The face of the clock goes for $5,000, and I think we have about $3,000 or $4,000 in residence donations. So we're about $18,000 to the good right now, and we need about $20,000 to start and order the clock. It costs $25,000 to complete the project, but we've already have the power going to be donated, and the hookup is donated by one of our local electricians, and the foundation is being donated. So we hope to have the clock ready for holiday.
That's great. And I know one of the things that we were talking about a little bit before we got on the show was vacancies in downtown and all the new businesses coming in. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're very, very fortunate, and I'm very pleased that most of the vacancies have been filled. We still have, there's one in Berkeley Shopping Plaza that's got a lot of interest in the corner there next to Pet Supplies. And there's the one, the movie theater, of course, which is going to be probably a little bit of a chore to get filled because of the way it's laid out. But other than that, just about every other vacancy has been filled. In the beginning of town, where Domino's used to be, will be the Primrose School. It'll be all-day child care and a daycare center. So I think from 6:30 in the morning to 7 at night, people who are working can drop off their child there and in a safe environment. And the one thing is the whole streetscape of our town is going to change. Every new building that comes in here has to put in the brick pavers and the coach lanterns, as we call them. And between that and the Chase Manhattan Bank, you can see on the corner where McLaughlin's and the Gulf Station is, that'll have the brick pavers. And then when CVS that has been approved goes in, they'll have the brick pavers. So about 85% of our town will have that streetscape, which will look good. And then we can start selling benches and making a real walkable downtown area out of it. And we're looking forward to that.
And Rachel, do you have any questions for the mayor?
Sure. So I'd read that Councilman Leonard Lance is here to talk to you about a new grant for the fire department. Congressman?
He's a congressman now.
Sorry about that.
Okay. It's easy to make. Yeah, Congressman Lance came this week and gave us a check for $105,000 grant from the federal government for communications for the fire department. And the grant was actually written by a private citizen in town who happens to have a son who's on the fire department, and it's going to be for repeaters, and repeaters are communication devices that help the signal go over the mountains and through the valleys, which we have a lot of here in Berkeley Heights. So it'll keep our town much safer, and we thank him for it because it would have been very, very tough for us to afford that, and we needed it.
I was also hearing that there might be a generator for the town center coming. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the council last night, this past Tuesday, approved to go ahead with a portable generator. I say portable because it can go with us if we, when we merge with take over Little Flower and they take over our library, it can go with us. But it's a huge generator that would power up all of Town Hall, the dispatch, and in an emergency, it would make Town Hall a power-up station and either a warming station in the winter or a cooling station in the summer, which we need one central hub that the residents can rely on that will be powered up in an emergency. And unfortunately, in the last 18 months, we've had 300-year storms and a tornado. So I think we're skating in front of the avalanche. I made that plea to the council, and they wholeheartedly endorsed it.
You also just mentioned the switch between Little Flower and the library. Could you talk a little bit about how that's going?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a stall for a while there, but we're back on track, and I still think it's a good thing for all of us. It's a good thing for the church to right-size the parish, and it's a good thing for the township because our building's antiquated, and it's the best chance we have to provide the proper services and afford a new library for the township. We won't have this opportunity again in this lifetime or possibly the next few. So it's a chance for us to really, when you start looking at the possibilities, the parking lot there, we can have a midweek farmers market in that parking lot because there's not that many people who work in town hall, so the parking lot is huge. Plus the veterans, this is a positive, but also a little sad. The veterans have about, I think it's about 6,000-7,000 remains of veterans that are on shelves in funeral homes because nobody's claimed them. And that park that's in front of the church right now, that green area, we're going to make that our new memorial park, and actually with military honors have funerals for these gentlemen and ladies, veterans, and actually put markers in and bury them in our soil there. So it will be a true memorial park and really a come together place for the town with the library there, the fire department there, the police department there, all the services right there. So it'll be a great thing once this comes to fruition, and we're looking at about hopefully within the next 2.5 years to have it complete. So we've got some things we have to work on, but everything's a go.
That sounds great. Mike, do you have anything else to add?
I just want to see, Mr. Mayor, if there's anything else you wanted to talk about that we haven't brought up to here yet today.
Well, there's a couple of things coming on in town that people should know about. First of all, speaking of the veterans, I believe it's the first or second week of September. I'm going to say September 14th, but don't hold me to it. It's that first Saturday. They're having their second annual town-wide barbecue, and it's going to be hamburgers, hot dogs, corn, salads, and a roasted pig or two. And that's... we look forward to that. Dr. Smith has his annual 5K race that's coming online. So there's a lot of things happening and have been happening. We have 3 more concerts left, counting tonight. So we have one rain out that's going to happen the first week of August. So a lot of activity, and we hope that the residents take advantage of all these things that the Recreation Department and private entities like Dr. Smith and the VFW afford them. So again, a lot of things happening, and as we get more online, we'll let everybody know.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for being on the show today.
Rachel, thank you.
And we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Adhesive capsulitis, frozen shoulder. What is it? It's loss of emotion in your shoulder, where you can barely lift your shoulder up to height, sometimes down as little as that. It hurts, it's painful. The problem with a frozen shoulder is if you don't use it, it hurts, and if you use it too much, it hurts. So it's a really limiting factor for a lot of people, a very common condition seen in chiropractic offices. The integrative approach for treating a frozen shoulder involves manipulation of the shoulder girdle, but I've found an instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization, Graston or Factor PM, to be very effective. How does it work? We isolate the shoulder that's a problem, and then we put a little bit of lubricant over the skin because we don't want to irritate the skin. Now remember, it's a frozen shoulder, so the shoulder doesn't want to move or work. So to get around that, we use pulleys. The left hand is going to help the right shoulder move, and then conversely it'll come down. So by using the pulleys, we start to get motion in the shoulder. We just rub the lubricant over the skin, and then I use an instrument. These are called Graston instruments. They're stainless steel tools that penetrate through the skin, not openly, but just enough to get to the scar tissue. So we're moving the shoulder through a range of motion, and at the same time, we're breaking down the scar tissue. It's a really, really effective way of treating adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulders. Can we also treat rotator cuff injuries like this? Tendinitis, tendinosis? We sure can. A lot of times we have to get into the lower shoulder here. Now, if you notice, the skin's starting to get red. That's normal, and that does happen when we do soft tissue work, especially this instrument-assisted soft tissue work. Once the skin gets a little red, we move on to the next area. If it gets a little blotchy, like little pin pockets of black and blue, no big deal, don't worry about it. Works very well. Can it be sensitive? If we're working on an area that's sensitive, it can be sensitive. But it is one of the best ways to restore motion in a frozen shoulder. So as they're moving it, I'm working on it. It works great. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and did you know that chiropractic care works great on frozen shoulders?
Welcome back to This Week in Berkeley Heights. We're here at Memorial Field, and it's just before the concert's about to start. We're here with Steve, one of the owners of Yogacino here in Berkeley Heights, and it's great to have you on the show, Steve.
Hey, Mike. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So I know Yogacino is here today here at the concert. Can you talk a little bit about your involvement here tonight?
Speaking with Pat Smith, I decided to get more involved with the Chamber of Commerce. I have almost a year already at Yogacino, and it's actually freeing me up a little to get a little more involved with the town at this point. And I'm trying to promote and get more involved in as many activities I could with Berkeley Heights.
That's great, Steve. And in terms of Yogacino, I know things are going well. I'm there all the time. Can you talk a little bit about how business is going and plans for the future and things like that?
Well, Yogacino is doing tremendous. We all know it's just not a yogurt place. It's brunch, breakfast, lunch. We do dinner Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We just started offering catering services, and hopefully soon we're finally going to be under construction for our party room downstairs, which is going to accommodate 90 people in 2 rooms. We have a large room which will hold 60 and our smaller room which will hold 30, because we are starting to get a lot of bookings and a lot of inquiries about parties to be held at Yogacino. So things are going great. We offer many different services to the community. We do storybook and coffee time on Tuesdays and Wednesdays to accommodate the moms. We're going to be starting an Xbox tournament for the younger kids every Wednesday night. In the middle of August, that's going to be starting. And we will soon implement Mom's Night Out.
Nice.
And the moms are looking forward to that one.
Thank you, Steve. And I know, Rachel, you know Steve even better than I do. Do you have some questions for Steve?
Sure. So I used to work at Yogacino. I had a great time, and I just wanted to ask you, are there any new flavors that are coming in that have maybe come in since a lot of people have been there last time?
Yes, we have. We have implemented quite a number of flavors. Of course, we do seasonal flavors depending on the holiday, but right now our creamsicle seems to be our big hit. Combination of orange sorbet with a vanilla yogurt, and of course our watermelon. Just a lot of refreshing flavors for the summertime.
All right. Is there anything else we didn't cover that you'd like to talk about?
I think we pretty much said it all, and just come on down to Yogacino and visit.
Sounds great.
Well, thanks so much, Steve, for
Thank you
being on the
very
show.
much, Mike. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have fun tonight.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Adhesive capsulitis, frozen shoulder. What is it? It's loss of motion in your shoulder, where you can barely lift your shoulder up to height, sometimes down as little as that. It hurts, it's painful. The problem with a frozen shoulder is if you don't use it, it hurts, and if you use it too much, it hurts. So it's a really limiting factor for a lot of people, a very common condition seen in chiropractic offices. The integrative approach for treating a frozen shoulder involves manipulation of the shoulder girdle, but I've found an instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization, Graston or Factor PM, to be very effective. How does it work? We isolate the shoulder, that's a problem, and then we put a little bit of lubricant over the skin because we don't want to irritate the skin. Now remember, it's a frozen shoulder, so the shoulder doesn't want to move or work. So to get around that, we use pulleys. The left hand is going to help the right shoulder move, and then conversely it'll come down. So by using the pulleys, we start to get motion in the shoulder. We just rub the lubricant over the skin, and then I use an instrument. These are called Graston instruments. They're stainless steel tools that penetrate through the skin, not openly, but just enough to get to the scar tissue. So we're moving the shoulder through a range of motion, and at the same time, we're breaking down the scar tissue. It's a really, really effective way of treating adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulders. Can we also treat rotator cuff injuries like this? Tendinitis, tendinosis? We sure can. A lot of times we have to get into the lower shoulder here. Now, if you notice, the skin's starting to get red. That's normal, and that does happen when we do soft tissue work, especially this instrument-assisted soft tissue work. Once the skin gets a little red, we move on to the next area. If it gets a little blotchy, like little pin pockets of black and blue, no big deal, don't worry about it. Works very well. Can it be sensitive? If we're working on an area that's sensitive, it can be sensitive, but it is one of the best ways to restore motion in a frozen shoulder. So as they're moving it, I'm working on it. It works great. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and did you know that chiropractic care works great on frozen shoulders?
Welcome back to This Week in Berkeley Heights. We're here at the Summer Concert Series with Big Band Evolution playing in the background here at Memorial Field in Berkeley Heights. And we're just going to run through a few short news items. And Rachel, why don't you talk a little bit about Congressman Lance coming to Berkeley Heights this week?
So Congressman Lance came to Berkeley Heights this week to meet with the council and the volunteer fire department because the volunteer fire department has just received a $105,000 grant to upgrade their communication system. They normally receive between 700 and 800 calls on a pretty frequent basis, so this will be a great new tool to help them up their level of help that they can give to the community.
Thank you, Rachel. And in other news, the council approved an $85,000 generator, which is a portable generator. So hopefully there will not be any more big storms in Berkeley Heights. But if there is, Berkeley Heights will be prepared, which is excellent. And, I think that in terms of other news going on in Berkeley Heights, I mean, basically, as we've heard from the mayor about a lot of new improvements coming to Berkeley Heights, which is great. And is there anything that you wanted to add?
Well, I know the mayor talked about the town clock coming in, so he had mentioned that a lot of people can buy lines on the bottom of the clock, and so maybe for people to visit the town website to maybe see if they want to buy a line on the clock.
Well, that sounds great, Rachel. This has been This Week in Berkeley Heights, brought to you in part by thealternativepress.com. Berkeley Heights is all online, daily local newspaper. Here at Memorial Field, on behalf of the Berkeley Heights Communications Committee, I'm Michael Shapiro from thealternativepress.com.
And I'm Rachel Cantor.
Good night, Berkeley Heights.